1st of November, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos.
You just get you back then. Can you hear us? Do you know sign language?
Morning, Rabbi.
Good morning. 1 second.
Meir is having problems. We can't hear him. Oh, we just lost Meir and Rabbi.
Oh. Okay. No loss. That's good. Let's moving on. We'll deal with them tomorrow.
Moving right along.
Moving along. They'll maybe they'll join us tomorrow. Okay. Next.
All right, Barry, go ahead. Start reading.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Did you pay your cable bill?
Good morning, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here.
Morning.
Good to see you, Barry. Good to see you, Mayor.
Good
Good to see you, Lou.
Morning.
Okay, we are learning about the very important understanding when you can save people, when you can't save people. Let me put that on the screen. We'll continue where we left off. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, right here, you see where the little red ball is there on the right-hand side of your screen where the Chashuke Chemed, this is Rav Silverstein, and he has the following, Shaila, Ha'im Yatzil Es Aviv Akum Shetova Benar. And
So we're there, Rabbi. My pointer shows that we're two paragraphs up from there.
I think we did the Knesset of Gedola, we did the Shalis Rabbi Nasson. You know, we can go back one to the Horos Nosson, Ani Shemati. This is based on the Rambam. Again, the Rambam said in 2 places that you can't save a non-Jew. Okay.
Ani Shemati, I heard, Velo Avin Heach Yalif May High, that you cannot Avin, I don't know. Avin,
Right. So, Lo Avin, Ani Shemati, Lo Avin. I heard, but I don't understand. Eich Yalif. How is it to be derived the high crop from that pasuk?
Yalif is to derive
That's right.
from that pasuk. Lo ta'amod al dam re'echa. Do not stand on the blood of your friend. The ein zeh re'echa, and this one is not your friend. The asur lahatzilo. It's and therefore it's forbidden to rescue him.
Right. So that's so it's difficult to understand. Meaning, okay, Lo Sachman al Derecha. So that's a command that you're not supposed to stand idly by and watch your friend's blood be spilt. Okay, so that's very good. So that's for somebody who's your friend. But someone who's not your friend. Okay, so you understand that you're not obligated to go do anything. But where do you see that it be forbidden if you go ahead and do that? That's what we have to understand.
Right. Asur minalan.
Right, so
From where do we get that it's usur?
that's right. So what's the source of the Rambam's knowledge that it's usher to save a non-Jew?
Dilma Eino mitzvah lahatzilo. Perhaps it's not a mitzvah to rescue him. Aval isor may high leka, but a prohibition from this, it's not. There is not.
Right, so maybe you're not obligated to go and save him, but maybe we can suggest that at least if you go ahead, you're not doing something forbidden.
Ulai ikar hatam. Here comes Meir. Maybe the essence of the reason sha'asur, that it is forbidden lahatzilu, to rescue him, hu mipnei kashem sha'asur levat Yisrael, the base Yisrael.
Bas Yisrael.
It's Bas Yisrael.
It's Bas Yisrael, right?
It's because of the principle of that it's forbidden for a daughter of Israel, Jewish woman, lahanik es bana shel nachris mipnei she migdalis bein laz.
Ben shemigadelis ben laborazor. It could be that what's forbidden is because of the other similar law, that it's also for a Jewish woman to nurse bena shel nachris, a child of a non-Jew, because shemigadelis ben laborazor, because she will raise the child to be an idol worship. So
shemagdilas is to raise.
Migdalis, right? Shemagdalis, like Migadel, from the Migadel something.
To make him grow up.
Right, make it exactly. Make him grow up to serve Avodah Zarah. So since he's only going to go out and do things which are forbidden, right? So therefore, there's no point in a person who's going to do sins, right? They're only going to be obligating themselves and getting themselves deeper and deeper into trouble with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore, just like it's forbidden to nurse a non-Jewish baby, because they're only going to go and serve Avodah Zarah when they eventually grow up and are on their own. So likewise, even an adult who's already doing that and doing other things, which he's only causing more damage to himself and to his soul. So could be for that reason why it's usher.
So when it says B'nah Shel Nachri, is that an idol worshiper, mamash, or is that any non-Jew?
Nachris is any non-Jew. Nachris is a non-Jew. Generic.
So why are we? Let's say it's a Muslim child. Why are we worried that it's going to be over Avodah Zarah since Islam is not Avodah Zarah?
I don't know if we have to limit it just to Avodah Zarah. That was probably the most common thing, but it could be any one of the mitzvahs. Zayin minas b'nei Noach. Any time a nachri is transgressing any one of the Zayin minas b'nei Noach, they chayav misa. They're even without edis and hasra. Normally, in a Jewish court of law, you have to have edis, edim, and hasra, and you have to have a warning before you can actually bring them to legal consequences in Beis Din of Misa or Malchus. You have to have Edis and Asra. But a non-Jew is not chayiv under those circumstances. He's chayiv even if there's no Edim and even if there's no warning for him.
Okay, so now ha'im yatzil es aviv ha'akum she tova b'nahal. So if he can rescue his father, who is not Jewish, Shetova Benar. I don't know. What's Shetova Benar?
He's drowning in the river.
Oh, drowning.
So a son, yeah, right. So a son sees his father, who's a non-Jew, drowning in the river. Is he? Shall he save him or not?
Right. This was the case where the mother was
He's-
Jewish, right?
He's
Yeah.
not his father, right?
No, he has
He's
a
counted as
Jewish
his
mother.
father.
He has a Jewish mother and he has a non-Jewish father. There are many people like that walking around the world these days. Many, thousands and thousands of them. That their mothers foolishly married non-Jews, and they had children, and those children are thought authentically Jewish, right? And so they're obligated in all of the Torah, right? Even though their father's non-Jewish.
So you could have someone named O'Reilly who's Jewish because his father was Irish.
Yes, you certainly could. That's right.
And you can't judge by that, by the way. I have a friend his name is Mike Smith, who is Jewish from both parents.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's names mean very little in art. The names have gotten all mixed up. So you can't make any judgments based on a person's name.
Okay, Ne'emar, the Rambam, it's stated by the Rambam, Ein Kortin Baris the Sheva Mamin. It's not written.
You're not to sign a treaty with the seven nations.
Oh, you're not to sign a bris, a treaty with the seven nations. Kedei she'na'aseh imahem shalom. In order to make peace with them. V'naniach osam, and to be content with them.
Or it's like almost to enable them to oived avodah galilim. That it's meaning by making a peace treaty with them, you're going to be enabling them to serve avodah zarah. They'll continue their way of life, right? And therefore, you're enabling them by your peace treaty to remain far from HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shene'emar lo tichros lahem bris ela yachziru me avodasam o yahargu. Okay, so and it's stated, do not sign with them a treaty, except to go back from their service or to kill them.
Right, meaning the pasuk says that you're not supposed to make any treaties with the non-Jews. Specifically, we're talking about at this point ostensibly the seven nations of Canaan, And rather, what are you supposed to do? Yachziru me'avodosam. You're supposed to have them renege their avodah zorah, and or kill them.
But I thought the law of the 7 nations was that they had to either leave Israel or they had to be killed. What is this Yachziru me avodasam?
That would probably be by converting them. They could convert them, and
I thought we couldn't do that. I thought we weren't allowed to convert them.
well, not into a full Jew. They would become like a ger toshav as long as they are going to deny their idol worship. So then they might be able to be a ger toshav. Yeah. So but you offer them before you make war with them. You offer them.
How do you trust them? These are these are supposedly the worst people that deserve to be wiped out, and we're gonna make a deal with them. It doesn't, they're the last people you could trust.
No, it doesn't say that they're dishonest, but you give them a choice. Give them a choice. It's only fair.
V'asar lirachem alehem, shene'amar v'lo sichnam, and it's forbidden to be peaceful with them, as it says, do not sichnam is to
Right? It's forbidden to have compassion upon them. Shenemar, it says, lo sischanem. You shall not favor them. You shall not favor them.
Lefichach im ro'eh mehem oved o tova binahar lo ya'alnu. Therefore, if you see them working or drowning in the river, don't lift them up.
Oived is like about to be destroyed, about to be killed.
So in danger?
Well, Oived is like to be like lost at sea, like you're skimming the waters in your helicopter, and you see a non-Jew, bobbing up and down in the water. So you don't have to stop.
Okay. So
Or another case, or you see him drowning in the river. He's in the Hudson River there. He's in the Hudson River, and so you're in your speedboat, and you can keep speeding by.
You can't drown in the Hudson anymore.
No,
It's so thick with sludge that you can't sink. You can't sink anymore. You just push yourself up and walk on top of the water.
Okay, very good.
right. What is this? Rohu?
So another case, right? Ro, you see him not to Elamus. You see that he's about to die. Right?
He's about to die. Okay. You see him that he's about to die. Lo yitzi lanu. Don't rescue him.
right? Don't rescue.
Okay, so that's basically the same thing. What is this abbreviation? Yud Ayin Vav Shin.
So, Ayin Sham, meaning take a look there in the Rambam. Ayin Sham.
Oh, look over there. Okay.
Look over there in the Rambam.
Umakoro bisogis hagamra
Hagamora. Sugi is Hagamora.
hagamora. What is this word? Mikoro?
Makoro means the source. Up till now we just quoted the Rambam. So the Makor, the source of this these statements by the Rambam is the Gemara that touches on these points, and that's the Gemara in Avodah Zorah, Chaf Vav Amed Aleph.
Okay. The yesh le hastafak.
Please stop it. To be in doubt. There is to be in doubt.
Doubt. And there is to doubt ma adin kishe'amo Yisrael. And there is to doubt about the law as it relates to a Jew.
Kishe'ima, when the mother is Jewish.
Oh, the mother. When the mother is Jewish.
Right.
There is a doubt. What's the law when the mother is Jewish? Ba'aviv akum, and the father is not Jewish.
Right.
V'ro'eh es aviv ova benahar, and he sees his father drowning in the river. V'im mutar lo lahatzilu, if it is permissible to rescue him.
Right.
That's doubtful.
Right. That's the question we're going to try and answer.
Teshuvah, if
the father is not, are you saying if the father is not Jewish? Is that the question?
That's right.
If the father is not Jewish and the mother is Jewish,
right? His mother's
even though the mother's Jewish,
Sarah, and his father is Fritz. Fritz and Sarah says they're right on the mailbox. Fritz and Sarah.
And that, yeah, yeah, I've been there, done that. Yes. Okay. So okay.
I think the only significance to the fact that the mother is Jewish is that the person that we're talking about is Jewish.
Yeah, that's significant, definitely so. And but also we'll have to see. I'm not sure which way the Chu is going to go, and which. But when the Rambam said Zayin Amamim, the 7 nations, so there are those Meforshim that say that this is only specific to these 7 nations that lived in Canaan at the time when Yeshua came in to conquer the land. But it may or may not apply to a non-Jew in general, right? That is a separate question, whether the Rambam is speaking about only the specific 7 nations, right? And or if it also applies to any non-Jew, right? So and even let's say even if it applies to the 7 nations, right? The 7 nations, the fact, as you mentioned, the fact that the mother is a Jew, so that makes the son Jewish, and so he has obligations according to the Torah. But the question is, does the father, who's a non-Jew, either specifically to the 7 nations or in general to the other 70 nations, whether this prohibition applies or not? So there's a question about that as well. So yeah, we'll see.
But today in Europe and in the United States, let's say, nobody is considered a descendant of these nations
That's
of the
right.
Canaanim, right?
That's right. That's right. So if the Rambam, if you can prove definitively that the Rambam is specifically speaking about the 7 nations, then the law won't be applicable bisman hazeh.
Because anyway, we say that that Europe is descended from Asav, right? In other words, the Romans and et cetera, et cetera. They're from Asav. So,
Right.
I mean, at least we got the descendants straight. Whether or not it applies to them or not, we have to figure that out. Yeah, that's a separate problem.
Exactly. Exactly. Very good. Okay.
Okay, so the answer, Mitzino, the poskim, ke asher yesh chovas ha-karta,
Hakoras hatov legoy. Hakoras hatov.
chorus hatov lagoy. Okay, so we find that the poskim shika asher means when there is a obligation of gratitude to a non-Jew.
Right. So there might be sometimes there might be situations, let it put this way. There might be situations when we have a debt of gratitude to a non-Jew, right? Whatever it could be, for whatever reason, right? That there is a debt of gratitude that we are obligated to pay back in some way or another to be thankful for the kindness of the non-Jew.
Yeah, we're grateful he didn't kill us. Yeah.
Sometimes that could be could be a very big benefit. Yeah. You're right, Barry. It could be.
Yeah.
Ein isur shall lo sichnam.
Yeah, right. So
it's not prohibited. There is no prohibition of lo sichnam. What's lo sichnam?
So that's favoring them from what the Rambam mentioned, meaning if there is a pre-existing debt of gratitude that the person has to a non-Jew, you could say that therefore that removes the prohibition of lo sischanim, that you should not be permissive. You shouldn't have a favor. You shouldn't show favor to a non-Jew. That is not said if there's already a pre-existing debt of gratitude to a non-Jew.
Oh, so actually the Palestinians are making a very big mistake because they're claiming that they're the descendants of the Canaanim, and that's why they deserve the land. That's part of their one of the lies that they tell. Or maybe it's not a lie. But if they claim that they are descendants of the Canaanim, then we have to go out and kill them. Can we get a ruling on that?
When the Mashiach comes, he'll tell you. Don't worry.
Ukamo she matzinu legabe Yosef hatzadik she'asa tova lechomrim shel Mitzrayim, and that we find by Yosef Hatzadik that he did good. The Komrim, I don't know.
Komrim are the priests in Mitzrayim.
He did good to the priests of Mitzrayim. Okay, so that's Avodah Zorah, mamish.
Yeah, if you want, you can take a look there it's in the Parsha. We'll get to it in a few weeks from now. But if you want to get a sneak preview, it should be in the Parshas, Parshas, Vayigash. Parshas Vayigash, I think. Let's take a look. Parshas Vayigash.
Vayigash.
Yeah, toward the very end of Vayigash. That would be in Perek Mem Zayin, Pasuk Chav Beis.
But the land of the priests he did not buy, because the priests had an allotment from Paro. They ate the allotment that Paro gave them, and therefore they did not sell their land. Bye-bye,
Right.
Judy. But that doesn't sound like he did a favor for them. It sounds like he had no choice.
No, where do you see that he had no choice in this matter here?
He says they had an allotment from Paro, and
No.
therefore they were not forced to buy food from him. Therefore, he wasn't able to buy their land, right? Because what happened was the people ran out of food, and then they came to Yosef and they said, "Give us more food. We don't have any more money. Give us more food anyway because we're going to die." And he said, "Sign over your land."
That was the Egyptians. The Jews didn't own any land.
I'm not talking about the Jews. I'm talking about the priests.
The priests of the Egyptian priests.
Yes.
Oh, Egyptian
No,
priests. Okay.
Okay. So you go to Pasuk Chav Hey and Chav Vav.
Okay, let's see. They said, "You have saved our lives. May we find favor in the eyes of my master, and we will be slaves to Paro." Okay, so who's they? Let's see.
That's
That-
the general population.
They is the Egyptians, not the priests, right?
Right. That's the Egyptian population. Correct.
Yosef enacted a statute over the land of Egypt to this day that a fifth belongs to Paro, except the land of the priests alone did not belong to Paro. Okay, but that's still saying that the reason I'm saying the reason that the land of the priests didn't belong to Paro was because Yosef was not able to acquire the land because they had an allotment from Paro, so they never ran out of food.
No, but this is something else. This is when Yosef made his own proclamation now.
Right, but the basis of the proclamation was that the government owned all the land at that point. And so Yosef said, go back and continue farming. But 20% comes to the government. He could theoretically have said, okay, the land is the government's, get off. But that would have been counterproductive because then there'd be no production of food.
No, but again, this is Yosef's. This is Yosef's. Hakaras told to the Karamim that they saved him. That he did this special. He didn't have to step in. If Pharaoh gave it to them already, he didn't have to step in. He's reinforcing this point.
I
Any
mean,
event,
was it actually true that the Kohanim owned their own land, or was it that Paro owned it, but he gave them like a perpetual lease? He gave them an exclusion, but actually he really did own the land. I mean, if he wanted to take it over, I'm sure he could take it over.
I never got a real estate license in Egypt to tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, he's Paro. I mean,
In any event,
It says
he's-
Rak Admas HaKohanim Lo Kana. But the land of the priests he did not acquire. So that to me seems to mean that
yeah, that's
owned
true.
it.
That's pretty strong evidence.
that was a pre-existing rule for Pharaoh, but Yosef had the right to rescind that if he wanted. Didn't he reinforced it, rather rescinding it, he kept it in its status quo.
But that's what I'm trying to get to. But he did have the power to rescind that.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, ultimately, Paro was in control,
Right.
and Yosef, as his representative, could have just said to the priest, "Okay, you can stay on the land, but you got to start paying rent or whatever."
Right.
I don't get this.
Okay, it's not central to our discussion right now. He's just bringing it as an example where Yosef did favors towards the priests in Mitzrayim. So it's an example where you can actually do favors for a non-Jew because of the Hakaras Hatov which exists. That's his point.
Well, actually, I would say you have an even stronger example in the way he dealt with the general population, because I'm not accepting the idea that he did a favor to the priests, but I am accepting the idea that he owned the land of the general population, the non-Jewish general population, and he could have taken it. He could have said, "Okay, this land is now the government's," and get off.
That's not the point. The point is the priests he owed the priests a favor, because when Oish's Potiphar accused him, they came to Yosef's aid. So in respect and out of a chorus of gratitude to them, he therefore did not allow their lands to be sold, as everyone else's lands to be sold.
That was Yosef's doing in particular.
Yeah, that was his own personal choice as the viceroy in Egypt to allow the priests to keep their land as a gesture of gratitude to the priests for their coming to his aid when he was accused by Aish's Potiphar.
Okay, well, at any rate, we can agree that Joseph did good things for Egyptians, for some Egyptians.
Well, no, it's not simply, that's not the point. The point is he did it because he owed them a favor.
Oh, I see.
So that's the point. The point is that he didn't do it just without reason. He wouldn't have done it without reason. But since he owed them gratitude for the way they saved him from the clutches of the Aish's Potiphar, then therefore he did them a favor in return. Right, so then that's important, that because we want to prove where there's a pre-existing debt of gratitude, what the Torah says you're not supposed to favor the non-Jews, that is not applicable when you owe them something in return.
Right. I see.
That's the main point here.
Okay, so at any rate, Vitur Karta Hatov Shehem Hatzilu Es Chayav B'Sha'as Ha'alilah. So Torah Karta is a reference, it's a source.
That that the Betur HaKorsa Tov, it was in the form of a Korsa Tov, in the form of gratitude, Shematzilu, as Chayav, B'Shas that they saved his life at the time of the libel. Ashes Potiphar libeled him, and the priests of Mitzrayim, came to his aid. Exactly why they did that, I'm not sure. I don't know that much about it. It's the first time I'm learning about this. I don't know that much, but they saved him, so he owed his life to the priests.
Alila is the accusation.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so this is what you were saying.
Rabbi, is that a midrash that these Kohanim saved Yosef? It's
Yeah,
not in it's not in the Chumash.
No, there's I'm not sure if there doesn't seem to be any remez to it in the Chumash. I have to look it up and see where exactly what happened there. It's very thought provoking why they would do that. What was their interest in helping and saving Yosef?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Sheha Elila Alav Ashes Potiphar. When the wife of Potiphar accused him.
Right. So they came to his aid. So as a Korsa Tov, as gratitude, he gave them, or let's say he did not rescind Paro's previous gift to the priests.
That's right. You never know who's gonna attain power over you.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we had a boy in school, in grade school, high school rather, that was really a terrible person. You know, he was a bully and he was very violent and he was mentally not well. And when he graduated high school, he became a policeman. And when he would come, and sometimes when he would come off duty, he would walk around our neighborhood, you know, like showing off his uniform.
Yeah.
You know, it was scary because he could find a reason to hit you with his nightstick. In those days, they had those big wooden nightsticks that were filled with lead, you know. So, yeah. So you never know.
How did he get to be a policeman if he was unstable?
He wasn't the only one. They liked aggressive police at that time.
I see. Okay.
And in those days, if a black person, was walking in the street, and the policeman said, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" He'd say, "I'm," and he would have a letter in his hand. He would say, "I'm going to mail this letter in the mailbox." So the cop would hit him anyway. That's true. It's a true story. I know black people who told me stories like that. So you never know. That's all. I'm only point I'm making is you never know who's going to suddenly be over you.
Right. So I'll tell you, I found the medrash here. What happened there? Right. So Yosef also Maisa Shalesis Potiphar. So when at the time when Yosef was brought on charges of living with the Ashes Potiphar, right? Amar Krumim, the priest spoke up and said, "Im levusha Yosef nikra milfanav, hu nisratza b'maisa." If the clothes of Yosef were ripped in front, right? That means he wanted the to do the act. Im kroin ma'acharav, if they were ripped from behind, he hichrosoi machazikosoi.
Yeah, he was running away.
He was running away, and she grabbed him, and they ripped from behind.
That's how Potiphar knew Yosef was innocent.
Right.
He knew he was really innocent.
Right. Therefore, Yosef, in gratitude to the priests, he allowed them not to have to sell the land to Paro, even though there was a present from Paro pre-existing. But he could have rescinded it. Paro. It was national security at this point, right? It was a situation of crisis, national security, and anything that Yosef said would go. So if he said everybody sell, even the priests would have to sell as well. So yeah. Now, so why did they do that? Why did they do that? So we could have to just understand. I mean, they're priests for Avodah Zarah. So why should they think of saving Yosef? So it could be that they didn't really have any particular motive of saving Yosef, but there's a Gemara in Avodah Zarah. I think I mentioned this once or twice before. It's important to know that the Gemara says that when a person has a choice to travel with someone, and you're talking about traveling, in those days, you're going to be on a road with a person, a deserted road, you're sleeping overnight with a person out in the wilderness and whatever. So you're looking for a travel companion. So the Gemara says you have a choice between an atheist and a idol worshiper. You should choose to take an idol worshiper as your travel companion rather an atheist, and don't take an atheist to be your travel partner with you. Rather choose the idol worshiper. Why? Because the atheist has no scruples. He's liable to kill you. But the atheist, even though he's mistaken in who and what he worships, but he realizes there's a higher authority than himself. So there's a sense of morals, there's a sense of fear of heaven, if you want to call it. So there's more scruples and more morals than an atheist who doesn't have any beliefs in a higher power above himself. So therefore, it could be that the priests in Mitzrayim, they understood that you should at least judge the case fairly, right? So irregardless of whether they wanted to save Yosef because of any particular compassion that they had on him for any particular reason, but they still said to themselves, because they believe in a higher authority, right, that it could still be that you should judge the case fairly. So judge the case fairly. And they said if the clothes are ripped in front, so that means he was willing to do the act with the wife of Potiphar. If it was ripped from behind, it shows that she was the one who grabbed onto him and ripped his clothes from the back as she grabbed him.
I think it means when it's torn in the front, it would mean that her story was true, that he attacked her and she was defending herself.
Could be.
I mean, that was the point. She went when her husband came home. She said, "Look at this jacket. You know, your favorite slave was trying to attack me."
Mm-hmm.
That was her story,
right?
So you know, that would show that if it was torn in the front, that she was, you know, trying to get away.
Right. Okay.
So you know.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you'd be a good detective, Barry. I see that right away.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
If you're looking for another profession, I'll see if anyone needs a good detective.
Okay, put in a word. Can I use a reference on my resume?
Sure.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay. We'll have to continue tomorrow. We're in the middle of this. As I said, we'll continue in a few minutes with the Shir, Mr. Brewer. Roy, you should have a very nice afternoon, Bez Hashem. And we'll be continuing Mr. Brewer in a few minutes, Mr. Hashem.
Okay.
Rabbi.